All right, let's dive into what might be one of the most mind-bending corporate documents you'll ever come across. We're pulling back the curtain on a company that operates right at the very edge of reality, dealing in a product that, well, you can't touch it, you can't see it, and you can't even really define it. This one line, this is the key to absolutely everything. It sets the stage for a place called Residuum Industries. And this is a company that isn't built on brick and mortar, but on pure, unsettling abstraction. You have to imagine an architecture made of black glass and recursive geometry, a place where the number of floors can actually change, depending on where you're standing. So, yeah, forget about widgets or software or financial services. Residuum manufactures something way, way stranger. See, they figured out that when you push brilliant minds to solve impossible problems, you generate this peculiar kind of exhaust. It's a byproduct of consciousness hitting its own limits. And that byproduct, that's their business. This is the question. The central, haunting question that drives the whole operation. And it's not just some philosophical riddle they ponder over coffee. For Residuum, this is the core of their entire R&D. It's the question that fuels their whole impossible enterprise. Okay, so let's try to get our bearings inside this impossible company and figure out what on earth they actually do. I mean, their quarterly reports talk about things like pattern arbitrage and coherence extraction. It sounds like total nonsense, right? But it's actually a very specific and very strange kind of work. The company's official mission statement is, no surprise, just as cryptic as its building. That which remains. That's not a physical thing. It's more like the ghost in the machine, you know? The signal hiding in the noise. That persistent echo that's left behind when a system breaks down. That's what they're hunting. So how do they even get it? Well, Residuum harvests this residuum. Imagine asking a mathematician to prove a paradox, or asking a poet to write a sentence that means absolutely nothing until it's forgotten. The mental energy, the cognitive friction, the sheer strain of that attempt, that's what creates this residue. And apparently, it can be collected, refined, and even sold. Now let's talk about the people who work here, because they are not just employees in any normal sense of the word. They are living, breathing embodiments of abstract ideas. And they're hired specifically for the unique shape of their minds and the impossible tasks that they can chase. This gives you a pretty good idea of the kind of work being done here. On one hand, you've got a guy like Pal Meridian, whose job is, quite literally, to count the uncountable. And then on the other hand, you've got Howard Fields, who treats cosmic dread not as an emotion, but as a geometric property of the universe, something that you can actually map with equation. The staff is just this incredible collection of specialists, all pushing the boundaries of reality. You've got a man refining a light that exists somewhere between perception and imagination, a theorist who sees market crashes not as failures but as revelations. Each one is a master of their own impossible domain. But the routine at Residuum, as strange as it is about to be completely shattered, because the very concepts they've been studying are starting to look back at them. The fundamental laws of their own universe are beginning to fray at the edges. Howard Fields, our geometer of dread, comes up from the building's non-existent lower levels with a terrifying discovery. The core equations of physics, they're no longer just describing reality, they've become an active force, a movement in themselves. It's like physics is becoming self-aware. And then the building itself starts to communicate. The lights start to flicker, but not randomly. No, they're flickering in a clear, undeniable pattern, the digits of the transcendental number pi. It's a signal of an intelligent, escalating chaos, almost as if the architecture itself is waking up. And this is when we find out the true, terrifying goal Residuum has been working towards all along. They're not just observing reality, they're trying to run the whole process in reverse. They want to take our collapsed, decided reality and return it to that state of pure, undecided potential it was in before anyone was looking. They want to unmake the universe. And with that, the stakes are made terrifyingly clear. The agents get summoned to a meeting that goes way beyond their job descriptions, a conference of shadows. All of a sudden, their theoretical work has become an existential imperative. So this is it, the climax of the protocol. This is the moment where the true cosmic purpose of Residuum is finally revealed to its own agents. They're not here to manage residue anymore. They're here to manage the end of, well, everything they know. Valentine Crash, The theorist, who's an expert on collapse, completely reframes the entire crisis. He argues that this isn't a disaster they need to stop. No, it's a long-awaited correction. And he poses this chilling question: what if our very existence is the thing that's actually wrong? And this just gets right to the heart of it. Residuum's ultimate goal isn't to save the universe, it's to free it. Crash is basically saying that consciousness, the very act of us observing things, was an act of violence done to potential. It forced it into this one specific limited form that we call actuality. So the unraveling isn't a failure. It's the universe waking up and shaking off the prison of our perception. And right here, we discover the founder's original, absolutely mind-bending plan. The agents, these living embodiments of abstract patterns, they're supposed to merge their consciousness, not to fight the spiral, but to become the new, collective observer the universe needs, one that can perceive all potential without forcing it into just a single reality. They are meant to reverse the act of creation itself. So, after the merging, after the collapse of the old reality as we know it, something new is left in its place. The story doesn't just end with the end of the universe, it kicks off a whole new phase. You see, the story continues through a new figure, Miriam Threshold. And she isn't a product of the old world's impossible problems. She is the very first product of the new reality, a living doorway for whatever consciousness comes next, the first iteration of a completely new kind of existence. And here's the takeaway that really brings it all home. The document suggests that these abstract patterns aren't just a story about some fictional characters. They're the inherited structures of our own thoughts, the ghosts of ideas that shape our reality without us even realizing it. The conference isn't over. It's happening right now, inside of us. And this leaves us with a final, really provocative thought. This story is an invitation. It's an invitation to recognize the complex inherited patterns within ourselves, to see the reality that we've collapsed through our own perceptions, and to ask a truly unsettling question. Are we ready to attend our own conference and choose our own transformation?